Hi, I'm Dr. Thomas Armstrong, and I'm making a series of short videos to introduce my new book, The Power of Neurodiversity: Unleashing the Advantages of Your Neurodivergent Brain. This is a completely revised and updated second edition of a book that I originally wrote in 2010. The topic of this video is 4 positive role models with autism. In one of my previous videos, I talked about positive niche construction, which is what animals do in the wild. Birds build nests and spiders spin webs, creating environments for themselves which allow them to do what they do optimally. And what I've done is take this concept from evolutionary biology and adapted it to human culture, and talked about ways in which we can, as neurodivergent individuals, create our environment, both inner and outer environment, to make use of our gifts, to maximize our strengths and minimize our disadvantages or deficits. So one of the components, I actually list 8 components, but one of the components in this construct is positive role models. I believe that we should surround ourselves with positive role models of people who are neurodivergent, who have been successful, who have done things, significant things. This doesn't necessarily mean celebrities, but it could mean anybody from the community, from politics, from creative artists, and so on. So what I thought I'd do in this video is highlight 4, well, I suppose most of them are celebrities, but as a way of showing that there are autistic people out there who do incredible things. The first person that came to my mind as far as a positive role model for autism was Temple Grandin. She's an amazing person, and I thought I'd just kind of list some of her accomplishments. She's a proponent of the humane treatment of livestock for slaughter. She won an award for visionary category from People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, which is pretty incredible when you think that she designs machinery for livestock on their way to slaughter. She's the author of more than 60 scientific papers on animal behavior, a faculty member with the Animal Sciences Division at the Colorado State University. Time named her one of the 100 most influential people in the world, listing her in their heroes category. She's one of the first adults to publicly disclose that she was autistic. I remember she wrote a book called Emergence, labeled Autistic, that was little known at the time, but the fact was it was very early on in the autism rights movement, and she was one of the first to come out boldly and say she was not only autistic, but she was great too. She's an outspoken proponent of autism rights and neurodiversity, and she's the author of over 15 books on autism, animal welfare, and cognition, with books like Thinking Like Pictures and several others as well. This is one of my favorite quotes of hers. She says, "In an ideal world, the scientists should find a method to prevent the most severe forms of autism, but allow the milder forms to survive. After all, the really social people did not invent the first stone spear. It was probably invented by an Aspie who chipped away at rocks while the other people socialized around the campfire. Without autism traits, we might still be living in caves." That's a great quote. My second autism hero, I guess, is Anthony Hopkins, whom many people will recognize as the actor who played Hannibal Lecter in the I can't even remember the name of the movie, but you know what I'm talking about. He had that famous line about eating. He was Hannibal the cannibal, and he was talked about eating someone with fava beans and a fine Chianti. That to me is one of the memorable lines from all movies. And anyway, so let me go through some of his accomplishments. He's a celebrated director and actor. He's won 2 Academy Awards for Best Actor, 4 BAFTA Awards, those are from the UK, 2 Primetime Emmy Awards, and a Laurence Olivier Award for drama acting in the theater. He's been knighted by Queen Elizabeth for his services to drama, and I just remembered that movie, Silence of the Lambs, which won many Oscars. Richard Attenborough directed Hopkins in 5 films, and in the 1970s described him as unquestionably the greatest actor of his generation. He was named one of the 100 Welsh heroes in a Welsh poll, has written music for the concert hall, directed a film about Dylan Thomas, was a prominent member of Greenpeace. So he's done a lot of things, and this is just a little bit of what he's done. But there's a quote that I particularly enjoyed finding, and then I included it as essentially the epigraph for my, not the epitaph, the epigraph for my book, The Power of Neurodiversity. Here it is. Quote, when I was a kid in school, I wasn't very bright. I was regarded as rather backward. And so, of course, at the age of adolescence, I felt very angry and confused, and I didn't know which way to go. I didn't seem to have any hope at all, and I remembered saying to my father, one day I'll show you. I remember that it was Easter 1955, and I said it with such conviction to my father, who always encouraged me, by the way. I said it because my school reports were appalling. One day, I said, I'll show you. And I remember by the end of that year, I got a scholarship to the Royal Welsh College of Music and Drama, and within 10 years, extraordinary things happened in my life. I still look back today and wonder how any of this happened. I think it came from that one signal moment. Very interesting quote about his own becoming, his own emergence as an autistic person. Next, we have someone who isn't considered a celebrity, at least not in the neurotypical world, but he is in the neurodiversity world, Ari Ne'eman. And he has done many things in the autism movement. He co-founded the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network in 2006, whose motto is not about us, without us, which suggests that you should have at least some intimate knowledge of your own neurodivergence before you advocate for it. He was unanimously confirmed by the U.S. Senate to serve on the National Council of Disability, the first autistic person to serve on the council. He's advised several Democratic presidential candidates on disability policy. He's an assistant professor at Harvard's Chan School of Public Health. He's published in the New England Journal of Medicine and other peer-reviewed journals. And here's my favorite quote from him. Autism is a disability insofar as we're disabled by society, a society that is often very hostile to our ways of communicating, to our ways of being that often is structured in such a way that it makes it difficult for us to access places of public accommodation and services and countless other things. It creates an education system where autistic people are often abused and do not have our communication and other needs met. Very wonderful proponent of autism rights and of neurodivergent rights as well. And my final positive role model is Daryl Hannah, the actress, but also the activist. She's been an actor in numerous well-known films, including one of my favorites, Blade Runner, also Splash and the movie Roxanne, which had Steve Martin playing the role of the um, the guy with the long nose, Cyrano de Bergerac. She's appeared and provided backing vocals for a music video that Jackson Browne did. She was also romantically linked to him for some time. As an active environmentalist, she created her own weekly video blog called DH Love Life on sustainable solutions. She's worked to help end sexual slavery worldwide. She's been arrested several times, including at one action protesting the Keystone oil pipeline from Alberta to the U.S. Gulf Coast. And she was the executive producer of Greeting Lying Bastards, a very good title. It's like that Glorious Bastards movie with Brad Pitt in it. At any rate, hers was different. Hers was a documentary in 2012 which focused on climate change denial and how to combat it. And my quote for her is this: "Acting changed my life. Acting teaches you safe ways to connect with yourself and others and to express yourself. For me, as an autistic young woman, it was a wealth of information, like a key to the world. It is almost like I learned to play myself, to transmit my authentic being in ways others can understand and not be afraid to take risks understanding others." That was only a partial list, obviously, for people. Here are some other individuals of our time who have been identified with autism, including Dan Aykroyd, Tim Burton, Jerry Seinfeld, Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokemon, Greta Thunberg, the at one time child activist, now she's the young adult activist, Jim Sinclair, who gave birth to the neurodiversity movement, Marty Balin, who is a musician, played with the Jefferson Starship and before that the Jefferson Airplane. Susan Boyle, who had a breakout singing experience on one of the America Has Talent type shows. I forget exactly which one it was. Stephen Fry, the British actor, and Dr. Vernon Smith, who was a Nobel Prize winner. People have also tried to identify historical figures who had autism, although personally I think that there's some problems with that because we don't have all the facts. In fact, we don't have many facts at all to indicate that someone was autistic. Maybe the one that comes closest is Henry Cavendish, a British scientist, and that's because Steve Silberman did such a good job of painting a portrait of him to begin his book Neurotribes. So that's a really good example of someone from history. Others have suggested Charles Darwin, but he had a range of complaints, both physical and mental, so that complicates the issue. Some people have said Mozart has autism, and I vehemently disagree with that, because I've studied Mozart's life and I found that he's very personable. He had close friends. When the friends moved away, he got emotionally upset. I mean, he didn't have a meltdown or anything, but he was clearly tied to individuals. To be able to compose his 16 symphonies, 16 operas rather, he had to have a knowledge of characters and what qualities those characters had, which involved a great deal of empathy. So I'm not a big proponent of the fact that Mozart had autism. I'm also not sure about Einstein, although if he did, it might have been that non-hyperactive form of autism. No, I'm thinking of ADHD, excuse me. No, I don't think he had autism, although he was hard to get along with. He preferred to be in his own mind. He cheated on his wife. I don't know if that shouldn't make you autistic. So I think, historical figures we get into trouble with. But I just want to remind you also that when you look for positive role models, you can also look at your own community. Look at people, lawyers, doctors, politicians, people of, graphic artists of other kinds who also have come out as as autistic or as being somewhere on the spectrum, and allow yourself to be inspired by them as well. Because when you think about positive role models with autism and you are on the spectrum, it gives you the feeling inside that if they can do it, so can I. So that's a little bit about my book, The Power of Neurodiversity. I discuss positive role models for each of the 7 diversities that I discuss, including ADHD and dyslexia and other neurodiversities. But I hope you get the book, um, and I hope you share it with your friends, your family, your teachers, your therapists, if you have one, your employees or employers, and others who might be interested in thinking about neurodiversity as another form of diversity to go along with biodiversity, cultural diversity, gender diversity, and so on. If you want to receive my blog posts, go to my website and sign up, and you will receive a 200-item neurodiversity strengths checklist, which is taken from my book. My website is at www.institute4learning.com. That's institute4learning.com. So anyway, I want to thank you for listening, for watching. I hope you learned something, and I wish you well wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is. And I wish you all the best in helping yourself and helping others unveil your full potential in life. Thanks so much. Bye.